to the Token and Hobbs Show on the Roads to Liberty Network.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of the Roads to Liberty podcast. I'm your host, Token, joined as ever with my partner in crime, Mr. Dustin Hobbs. What's going on, buddy? It's been a while. We haven't talked for a bit.
It's Tuesday. You know what that means.
Yeah.
It's Token and Hobbs time.
Live on Tuesday night, it's Token and Hobbs. Woo! SNL intro starts. And yeah, you got your honker horn. What are you drinking?
Always Guinness.
Guinness. Oh, I love Guinness, dude. You know what we need to do? We need to start the show off with Irish car bombs.
You know, if I had whiskey and stuff. Funny story about Irish car bombs before we get started tonight.
I don't know. I want to start the show with a funny story about Irish car bombs.
I have an Army friend who used to live in Lincoln. He was stationed with me down in Georgia, and he worked at a bar down in Lincoln. And went down there with my brother one time because after my friend Kenton got out of active duty, he went into the reserves, and he was in my brother's unit here in Nebraska. And so I went down there because we both know him, and me and my brother went down to see him. And he said he was tending bar, and he's like, "Hey, I know car bombs." And I said, "Good idea." And so he goes back and he gets all three of us a car bomb and brings it back, and we all three drop them and chug them, and me and him get done and slam our drinks down and
like a man.
Yep. And we both look over. My brother's drinking, and we're kind of like, oh. He drinks, gets it all done, puts his glass down, he goes, and then hauls ass into the bathroom.
Yeah, Irish car bombs are no joke. They can have that effect on you if you're not used to them.
Yeah, you have to slam them. You cannot drink them slow because that whiskey and that Bailey's Irish cream will start to curdle, and it's like drinking sour milk. Anyways, my brother was gone for like 15 minutes, and Kenton's like, "Where's he at?" And I'm like, "He never came out of the bathroom." And so Kenton goes into the bathroom, and my brother is cleaning the bathroom of a Lincoln bar with paper towels, like cleaning the stall, the toilet, like the floor, because he's drunk. And so Kenton's like,
did he puke all over it and he was cleaning his mess, or was he just cleaning it because he was there and drunk?
He was that drunk that he just decided that he was going to start cleaning the whole bathroom, and Kenton's like, "Oh, it makes my job at the end of the night easier."
I guess. Me and a bunch of guys, when we were stationed in Korea, we went out to a local lake to go fishing and drinking. And there's one dude I knew, by the name of Cribben. We all got beers at the end of fishing, and he drinks this thing, and we all put him down, and he just sits there going, "Oh, the foam." Like, what? And he just bends over and hurls right on the ground next to us. It's like, "Guys, it's the foam. I drank all the foam and it made me throw up." Like, "You idiot. What are you talking about?" Oh, fun times. I got a lot of drinking stories from Korea. Korea was a fun time.
Yeah, I never went to Korea, but it was Fort Stewart was kind of a sister station to one of the bases in Korea, so I knew a lot of people that were rotated back and forth between Fort Stewart and Korea, and they had, soju sounds like a hell of a drug.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. If you've never had soju, you don't know. The great thing about soju, that's also its curse, it doesn't taste too much of alcohol.
Yep.
And you can mix it up with all kinds of things, It goes well with just about everything.
Yep.
They mostly mix it with fruit juices is what they mostly mix it up with. So, yeah, you drink a whole lot of it, and then, boom, it hits you. I'm like, "Oh, God, how much did I drink? I'm falling. What the hell?"
Yeah, that's what my NCO said. He said they would make soju slushies out of like frozen passion fruit juice concentrate and soju. And he said the thing about it is it doesn't taste like anything. And as long as you're sitting down, you could drink it all night long and not feel anything. But he's like, as soon as you stand up, then you fall back down.
Yeah, because you can drink a lot of this stuff. You can drink so much soju and not even realize that you're getting hammered. I've got so many drinking stories from Korea. It was a fun time. I'll never regret spending a year over there. But that's not what we're here to talk about. This is a political podcast, isn't it? Always is just us rambling on about our drinking stories in the military. We can do that show. We can do that if that's what you guys want to listen to.
An hour of military drinking stories.
Oh God. Mercedes says, "Oh Lord, I had that in college." Yeah, I would compare to Korea to a year in college. It's very comparable because just think about it. One, you're all in the dorms, right? Everyone's living together in a dormitory environment. Two,
dorms or barracks.
Yeah, dorms or barracks. They're called dorms in the Air Force. Two, most people there are away from home for the very first time in their lives. Right? So that's another thing Korea and college have in common. Three, the work environment is very stressful. You're doing a lot of work. You're doing work in the military, and then in college you got your classes, and those can be very stressful. And then after that, it's party city 24/7. So, yeah, I never went to a real college. I did a couple of years of community college, but I did do a year in Korea. And that's about the same thing, I would think. All right, so let's get on to our real topic today. Speaking of drunken shenanigans, I know Donald Trump doesn't drink, but he might as well, considering some of the things that he's that have popped into his head. So apparently, there is a story in Axios about Donald Trump proposing dropping nuclear weapons into the heart of hurricanes in order to dissipate them. Now, on face value, this idea sounds absolutely ridiculous, like it would never work at all. But from further reading, I found out that, yeah, it is ridiculous. It makes no sense. The science does not back it up. And the best result you could hope to have if you actually did this was to create a radioactive hurricane that would then contaminate everything it touches. So let's all be glad that there are people in Donald Trump's administration that don't take him as seriously as everyone else seems to. Mercedes says, Sharknado, ? No, nuclear NATO is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, Nukenado sounds like a really awesome metal band.
That actually does sound pretty cool. We got to get on the phone with the asylum so they can make Sharknado 6. I don't know what number they're on. Nukenado.
Sharknado 27. Nukenado.
Yeah, and you can have a Donald Trump character in it who drops it. In lots of big disaster movies, there's always the military's like, we got to drop a nuke. We got to drop the nuke. And the heroes heroes not only have to fight the bad guys, but they got to stop the good guys from nuking everything.
Yeah.
Like the first Avenger movie. Remember that? So yeah, you have the Donald Trump character, and he wants to drop a nuke, and the good guys are trying to stop him, but they don't quite get him in time, and he drops the nuke into the hurricane, and then roll credits, nuke NATO.
Yep.
Now the sharks are radioactive.
Oh boy. Yeah, like the thought behind it, I can understand like where it's coming from. You've got this swirling vortex of air. You set off a concussive blast, it dissipates it. But the eye of a hurricane is what, like 200 or 300 miles in diameter. So, I mean, even the biggest nuclear bomb that anyone's ever made wouldn't have, I don't think, the blast radius to dissipate a hurricane. If the eye is about 300 miles in diameter, the rest of the hurricane's, several times that. So, like, the sentiment is there, makes sense, just the size scaling doesn't. And of course, like you said, nuclear fallout is going to contaminate everything, and it would just be a lot worse. But I think a mutual friend of ours Danny Salazar pointed it out. I saw him say that this is textbook Trump, where he says something outrageously stupid, like "Let's drop a nuclear bomb into a hurricane."
We got the back nukes.
Yeah,
They're awesome. Let's use them on a hurricane.
Yeah, exactly. And he says something just outrageous, over the top, stupid like that. And then while everybody is focusing on that and calling him a moron and oh, how can he talk about using nuclear weapons on hurricane? He goes behind everybody's back and fucking buys Greenland. And then next thing you know, that's the 51st state. And everybody's just like, what? How did this happen?
I mean, do we really need to buy? Let's just nuke Greenland and take it over. I mean, why buy it? It'll be cheaper just to walk in and say it's ours now. What's Denmark gonna do about it?
Exactly. Or better yet, we take Greenland and we move it as a wall for the hurricane. Hurricane hits Greenland instead of America. Boom.
You attach tugboats to it and drag it out into the Atlantic.
Yeah. It's like Elijah Cummings, the representative from Georgia, was afraid that too much urban development on one side of Guam was going to flip the island over.
He's gonna flip it, yeah, like it's a ship floating on top of the water. It's like, guys, I don't mean to be that guy right now, but if everybody stands on one side of the island and jumps at the same time, is that gonna flip it upside down?
Yes. Islands are just big dirt boats.
Exactly. Just attach a motor to those suckers and you have an aircraft carrier. Carl Crambeck says, don't nuke hurricanes. I'm curious, but not that curious. You know what? If hurricanes primarily hit like Mexico, do you think Trump would kind of do it anyway just to see what would happen? Nuclear fallout over Florida, bad. He needs Florida to win the next election. But over Mexico,
Florida's where Mar-a-Lago is, and that's where I do my golfing.
I actually hear that Trump is a terrible golfer, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. Considering how much time he spends golfing, you'd think this guy would be a Tiger Woods type expert at it. But I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he missed his calling as a golfer to be president instead. What a wonderful guy, sacrificing so much for us. I want to read you a little bit from the actual article. Now, I want to make this clear. This is all based on an unnamed source, and we know how reliable unnamed sources quoted in the media have been in the past. Remember the P-gate that turned out to be complete and utter nonsense. There's also something about Russia that keeps being brought up every 5 minutes for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, the mainstream media, unnamed sources are kind of untrustworthy, but this is exactly the kind of thing I would expect Donald Trump to say anyway. Donald Trump denies it, but you know what? Of course he is. So I'm going to read from the article. President Trump has suggested multiple times to senior Homeland Security and national security officials that they explore using nuclear bombs to stop hurricanes from hitting the United States, according to sources who have heard the president's private remarks and have been briefed on a National Security Council memorandum that recorded these comments. Behind the scenes, during one hurricane briefing at the White House, Trump said, I got it. Why don't we nuke them? According to one source who was there. They start forming off the coast of Africa, okay? And they're moving across the Atlantic. We drop a bomb, a big, beautiful bomb inside the eye of the hurricane, and boom, it disrupts it. Why can't we do that, okay? The source added, paraphrasing the president's remarks. I was paraphrasing, but I think that's actually what he said, word for word. So yeah, like I said, this is all based on a unnamed source. So take it with a grain of salt. It may not have happened, but if I'm putting my money on it, like I said, this is exactly the kind of thing I would expect President Trump to think. Yeah, like, come on.
This is like Covfefe or whatever that.
Covfefe?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, this will fuck with them. let's just drop this out there and see how far they run with it. At this point, I'm convinced that he's just doing a lot of the stuff that he does just to fuck with the media.
Well, that's the thing about it, though. It's not. This is a leak. It's not like Trump put this out there himself. You know, unless he really is playing 5D underwater basket weaving, and he's just leaking stuff to people he knows are leakers, so that they'll leak to the media. I guess that's possible, but I don't. Yeah. I wouldn't put my money on it.
Yeah, it's a pretty old tactic. You tell, if you suspect that you got a leaker or a spy, then you tell this person one thing, and then you tell the next person a different thing, and then when that gets back to you, you can be like, it was person A. I told that person that I was going to nuke the hurricane. So he's obviously the one leaking to the media. And then I
told that guy I was going to nuke tornadoes, and I told that guy I was going to nuke volcanoes, and that guy is the one I told we were going to nuke hurricanes, so he's the leak.
He's fired. You're fired.
You're fired.
And it's a pretty easy way to find spies and leakers.
I guess so, but there's got to be a way to do it that doesn't make you look so goddamn stupid.
I know, but at this point,
I know. They're gonna. No matter what Donald Trump does, he's gonna be stupid for doing it.
Yeah, so he might as well be entertaining, and by God, he has been the most entertaining president I think we've ever had.
Oh God, it is kind of funny though. Like I think of the whole Greenland thing. I'm like, what if Barack Obama had proposed buying Greenland? I mean, it's such a random off-the-wall thing, but I have no doubt in my mind that if it had been Barack Obama proposing that, nobody would have raised it. They'd be like, oh, buying Greenland, that's not a bad idea, is it? How about we just go do that? Yeah, that's a good idea.
The cucks over in Europe probably would have gave it to him for free. They were so on board the Obama train. They think he's like the second coming of God over there. And like I said, they probably would have just been like, here, Greenland's not doing us any good. It's 90% glacier and 30% mountain goat. So go ahead and have it.
There's like a total of 20 people living there, and half of those are in the U.S. Air Force anyway.
Yeah. And for all we know, man, the thing is like, it's like 500 feet of glacier and then like a solid chunk of gold underneath of it, and just nobody's had the resources to go in there and extract it. And it's like, I know what's under there, and we've got the money and the technology. We're gonna buy Greenland, and they're gonna be sorry.
We have the technology. It's gonna be like Alaska, right? Nobody thought Alaska was worth a damn until the U.S. bought it and found gold like the next day. It's like we knew it was there the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there was oil, there was gold, and it's strategically located to keep dibs on Russia. It was the perfect purchase.
There's like aliens living under there, and they give us the cure to cancer and AIDS and everything.
Yeah. Population of Greenland?
Oh, apparently the rest of his comment doesn't come in. But he says, Carl says the population of Greenland is 57,000 people. And every single one of, see, it scrolls.
Okay, cool.
I didn't see that. Cool, yeah, population of Greenland, 57,000 people. Every one of them hates their lives because they live in Greenland.
Leave it to Mr. Labcoat to go out and find the perfect number. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, he says I had to look it up. Yes, of course you did. Nobody knows what the population of Greenland is off the top of my head. Well, except for me now, because that number's going to stick in my head now.
Yep.
I'm going to say, man, Greenland, 57,000 people. I know that because Carl let me know on my podcast.
Now, if you think about it, though, if we did buy Greenland, and let's say we bought Greenland and turned it into the 51st state, they would get 2 senators and they would get 1 representative in the House of Representatives, which would make Greenland quite possibly the lowest or the highest ratio of representation in Congress, because right now the average representation in the House of Representatives is about 750,000 residents to one Congress critter. So Greenland would have a disproportionate amount of power.
They would, and every single one of the. I wonder how many Greenlanders. I wonder if they identify as Greenlanders or Danish. I wonder.
They seem to be under the pretenses that they are their own independent country and that they're not under the control of Denmark, because I guess the prime minister or whatever, the guy in charge of Greenland, said Greenland is not for sale, and I guess the prime minister of Denmark had to be like, actually that's our call, because Greenland has their own flag and their own like parliament and everything, but I guess they're like a territory, kind of like what we got with like Guam and Puerto Rico, where it's like under their control, but it's not quite.
It's a really stupid flag too. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Yeah, it's a really dumb flag. I never liked the look of it. Ooh, okay. Let me. Goodness, I'm trying to bring this stupid thing up, and it doesn't want to work for me. Ah, here we go. Greenland flag. Yeah, I gotta bring it up. There it is. See it? It's basically two stripes, white on the top, red on the bottom, with a circle in offset to the left.
Yeah, I see it. It's not impressive.
It's not. It's a really stupid flag. We're going to change that. We're going to change that to a nice blue when we buy it. Because every U.S. state is a blue background with a gold center of some kind.
It's the flag of Denmark, and then they've got that little circle. Or no, wait, the flag of Denmark is.
That's not Denmark's flag.
Yeah, Denmark is red with a white cross. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Poland is the one that's like a white.
Yeah,
stripe.
you're thinking of Poland. Yeah. Poland is the one that's two vertical stripes. I think it's red on top of white.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like the look of flags, but sometimes I forget what they're supposed to be. So yeah. Greenland, 51st state. That would be pretty awesome. I don't know. I don't care. It's stupid. Why are we even talking? We were supposed to talk about Donald Trump nuking hurricanes, which is actually a fucking fantastic topic, because that's just such a weird thing. Nuclear hurricanes destroying everything, wiping out the coast. Very cool. I don't know. Okay, Carl says they're 89% Danish. Yeah, but do they identify as Danish or Greenlanders? Like, if you ask the average, I wonder if you took a poll of people in Greenland, if they would primarily identify with Greenland or Denmark.
I don't know.
I guess it's kind of like back in when the British Empire was a thing, and you asked a Canadian if they identified as Canadian or British.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those deals. I don't know.
That other 11 or the other 10.3% must be the U.S. Air Force garrison there.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of people. And every one of those guys hate their lives too, because you're stationed in Greenland. You could have gone to fucking Italy, England, Germany, Japan, Korea, all these exotic places, and where do you go? Greenland. Greenland.
That's pretty exotic, though. I mean, who goes to Greenland? Nobody does, and
by choice.
Well, okay, yeah, true, but also, I bet that is probably one of the most relaxed postings you could get in any branch of service. I bet you could do whatever the fuck you want, as long as you show up to work with a BAC below driving limit, and don't rape a native or something. You probably
so long as you don't have sex with the whale, John McAfee. My God.
Okay. Let's move on. Poor
Let's
Greenland.
move on. Yeah, let's leave Greenland alone. What did Greenland ever do to us?
What did Greenland ever do to Greenland? Nothing.
I don't know. I don't know why we're picking on Greenland so much. So let's leave them alone, Brett. So let's talk about something else that actually is really shitty that Donald Trump is thinking about doing. And I'm going to read you a little bit from an article in the Daily Caller. It's about Donald Trump and his plan to use Amazon Echo, Apple Watches, these devices you put in your home that kind of make you feel like you're in Star Trek. You go, Alexia, play me the Beatles, and they'll play you music. These devices. Like Google has one, Amazon has them, whatever. Well, Donald Trump has a plan, a very good plan, a very awesome plan. And his plan is to use these devices that everyone has, in order to spy on people. Yeah, to spy on people and then take their guns away from them. So I'll read you from the article. The Trump administration is considering a proposal that would use Google, Amazon, and Apple to collect data on users who exhibit characteristics of mental illness that could lead to violent behavior, the Washington Post reported Thursday. The proposal is part of an initiative to create a Health Advanced Research Project Agency, HARPA, which would be located inside the Health and Human Services Department, the report notes, citing sources inside the administration. The new agency would have a separate budget, and the president would be responsible for appointing its director. HARPA would develop, quote, breakthrough technologies with high specific. I can't see that word.
Specificity?
Yes, that one. That's the word I'm looking for. And sensitivity for early diagnosis of neuropsychiatric violence. I could say that word. That word I could say.
Yeah.
According to a copy of the proposal. A I can't read today. What the fuck is wrong with me? Multi-modality. MODALITY. If you guys can pronounce that word, thank you for your assistance. Solution, along with real-time data analytics, is needed to achieve such an accurate diagnosis. The document lists several technologies that could be employed to help collect information, including Apple Watches, Amazon Echo, and Google Home. Geoffrey Ling, the lead scientific advisor on HARPA, told reporters Thursday the plan would require enormous amounts of data and scientific rigor. So, thoughts on this? I think it's safe to say that Donald Trump is not the Second Amendment champion that his supporters tried to pretend that he is.
No, absolutely not. And there's really no way that you can spin this in Skynet. Thank you, Carl. Skynet. It's you're using technology and algorithms and Minority Report. Yeah, it's pre-crime. It's even worse than these red flag orders, because at least with the red flag orders you have the semblance of some kind of a process. Even if the person accused is being excluded from the process and it doesn't pass the smell test for due process, at least you have a person going to another person, a judge, and having a restraining order drafted and then enforced by the police or whatever. With this thing, it's like we're just going to have our technology listen into us at all times, and one day you're going to get a knock on the door from the Fed boys, and you're going to be out of luck when the boogaloo starts.
Bad luck, Fed boys. I am the son of a shepherd.
That is quickly becoming one of my favorite meme pages. If you don't know what we're talking about, I need to start sharing those.
You do.
On the Roads to Liberty page. It's Shepherd Response, one word, and it's these funny memes with Rolf from Ed, and Eddie wearing an old Yugoslavian M57 steel pot helmet, and he's like talking about shooting at ATF agents, and it's
Oh god, I used to love that show when it was airing. And it was funny because if you guys ever watched the show, Rolf would always call Ed, Ed, and Eddie, Ed Boys.
Yeah.
You know? So instead of saying Ed Boys, he just said Fed Boys, and that's the joke now.
Yeah.
Like, I am the son of a shepherd. I'm going to take out some Fed Boys.
when the Fed boys are stacked in the alley behind your compound, but they're in Claymore Court, and you give them the razzle dazzle or something like that.
Dude, those are some of the best memes. I don't know when Rolf from Ed, Ed and Eddie became the face of the Boogaloo, but I'm glad he did because I love it. I wish I would have thought of that.
That's a spicy meme.
Oh god, it's so great.
Yeah.
So this is essentially Big Brother is watching you in real life. That's literally what this reminds me of. I read this and immediately thought of 1984. And I'm not saying this to be hyperbolic, because I remember back in 2016 when Wild Bill Well was making this comparison, like, oh, it's 1984. And I remember thinking at the time, yeah, it's not any worse than what Obama's doing. It's not. Right. It wasn't at the time. This, however, is.
Right.
This is way worse.
At least Winston Smith had his breakfast nook to crawl into to get away from the viewing of his telescreen. This is talking about shit that you're wearing on your wrist or keeping in your pocket or having on your TV stand or whatever. You know, George Orwell's telescreens were big things mounted to the wall. You know, I mean, even he didn't foresee smartphones and Apple Watches and Amazon Echoes and all the other bullshit that we got in our houses these days.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous because didn't Donald Trump say something about the war on the Second Amendment ends here or some nonsense like that? I seem to remember him saying something like that.
That was campaign trail Donald Trump when he was looking to get the endorsement of the NRA. This is 2019, 3 years into his first term, Donald Trump, when he's got to, I don't know, like the NRA is fully entrenched in his position and he figures he can just say whatever the fuck he wants and they're just gonna lap it up or whatever.
I don't know what. Yeah, go ahead.
No, the problem with these things is that I've seen a few people actually try and defend this. They're like, oh yeah, you know, if he stops some kind of crazy from getting guns, yeah, I want him to have that power. Or what if this stops some type of Antifa scumbag from shooting up an ICE facility like they did up in Washington? The thing we seem to have forgotten in this country, in this hyper-polarized political environment that we're in right now, is that just because it's our guy, and I'm using that term, you know, just not because I support Trump or hate Trump. I'm Trump neutral, but just because it's our guy proposing something doesn't mean that it's going to come from a good place. Whenever a politician is proposing some type of legislation which gives the government more power, you can't look at who is proposing it. You have to put that power into the hands of the worst politician that you can imagine and imagine them with that power, because those powers do not expire when that president finishes their first or second term. Imagine if somebody like Obama or Hillary Clinton or whatever worst case scenario gun grabbing politician you can possibly think of has the power to determine that you are a mental health threat based on the things that the electronics just sitting around your house are picking up in your day-to-day conversations. I say some shit like offhand, like I was just talking to you about the Ed, Ed, and Eddie Rolf memes about shooting at ATF. The Boogaloo memes talking about shooting at ATF agents being hilarious. You know, if I had an Alexa and it picked it up and it's like Dustin Hobbs at this address says shooting at ATF agents would be hilarious, and that gets sent up the chain. Well,
which
Fed boys are knocking on my door.
True.
Well, I mean, that just goes without saying, but that's the thing that people have to say. It's like, oh, I want to give Trump that power to take guns away from the hands of crazy. It's like, okay, sure, yeah, you want to give Trump the power to take guns away from crazies, but would you want to give Barack Obama the power to take guns away from crazies. With that power, not only comes the power to take away guns from crazies, but it also comes the power to determine what and who is crazy. That's what people need to think about when you're giving government more power. Imagine the worst politician you can with that power, and then decide whether or not you want the government to have that power.
Yeah, it's really just about a cult of personality at this point, because this is one of the most egregious proposals that Donald Trump has proposed out there. I mean, this literally is straight out of 1984. He's going to use the electronic devices in your home
Right.
to spy on you without you knowing. And then
Yeah.
he's going to use what you say in the privacy of your own home to determine whether or not you are a mental health risk. And then he's going to use that determination to take away your fundamental human rights. He's going to use that to confiscate your property, to take away your guns. And you're right. Even if you think Donald Trump is on your side, which, newsflash, he's not on your side.
Nope.
He's a fucking billionaire politician. He's on his own side, and it's not yours. But granted, let's assume that he is on your side. He's not going to be president forever. You know, he's going to be president for at most 4 more years. And in all likelihood, a Democrat at some point in the near future is going to be president.
Right.
Do you want Kamala Harris to have this power?
Nope.
Do you want Elizabeth Warren to have this power? Do you want Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders to have this power? People who have been advocating for gun confiscation for years?
The only time I want to have Bernie Sanders have this power is if he promises to take the guns from the people who have a lot of guns and redistribute them to the people who don't have any guns.
Oh my God! All the most powerful weapons in America are concentrated in the top 1% of the top 1%. We need to take all the guns and distribute them to all the poor people in America.
Right now in America, we have anywhere from 300 to 400 million guns, but only 80 to 100 million gun owners. I think that we should redistribute the guns that we have. Whatever. Anyways, getting back to this forget the Second Amendment rights. You know, it doesn't just stop there. So let's think about this. This shreds at least half of the Bill of Rights. Because if you have technology in your house listening in on you, determining who you're crazy, you're going to start self-censoring. There goes your freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
It's your own home.
In your own home. To confiscate your guns, there goes your Second Amendment. It's going to have to be reviewed manually by an agent of the state. That's essentially quartering government personnel in your house. There's your Third Amendment. Fourth Amendment right is your unreasonable searches and seizures. That's gone. And your Fifth Amendment right to avoid self-incrimination. That's half the Bill of Rights in one proposal.
Well, yep, there you go. I posted a meme today of Trump burning up a copy of the Constitution, because that's essentially what this is. The Patriot Act gave them that power, by the way. Yes, we've given up our freedoms bit by bit. But back then it was to stop terrorism. That was the idea, right? We need to do this to stop Islamic terrorism. Now, you got to stop shootings.
Right.
So we got to give the government the power to, you know, turn the United States of America into a giant concentration camp. Into a giant prison camp where we're all being spied on 24/7 and having our most private conversations recorded and used against us by the government so that they can take our means of defending ourselves from the people spying on us.
Outrageous.
Thank you, Donald Trump. What a champion for the Second Amendment. And then what does the NRA has to say about this?
Fucking nothing.
Nothing. The NRA is a fucking group of useless pieces of shit. They're completely pathetic. You know, here's the thing about this. I've had this opinion about the NRA for quite a while now. You know, what was that guy's name? Castile, who had a a concealed carry.
Philando Castile. He was a
Yep, man. Who had
licensed concealed carrier.
Yeah, he had a license to conceal carry. He was pulled over by the cops. He told the cops he had a gun. He told the cops he was going to take his gun out and place it out in plain view. And what did they do? They fucking murdered him for doing that.
Yep.
And the NRA didn't have shit to say about that. Here you have a man murdered by police, doing nothing at all wrong, who had the legal right to carry a concealed weapon, killed by police. And what did the police and what did the NRA do to stand up for his rights? Not shit.
They stayed silent for 2 whole weeks before they put out this sort of like glad handing. Oh yeah, because the Second Amendment community was very behind. Like, you know, get to the bottom of this Philando Castile thing, and get this man some justice. And they were telling the NRA, this is textbook open and shut. This is your wheelhouse. This is what you should be doing. And because the NRA is so entrenched in the Republican Party and so entrenched in the law enforcement community, they waited a 2 whole weeks. I mean, it was radio silence for 2 whole weeks before they put out, oh yeah, it's a tragedy, and you know, it's a perfect example of why police need more training and citizens need to be more aware of how they're acting around police. And you know, it's we have a Second Amendment. You know, fuck you, NRA. I'm a life member of the NRA. I paid my dues in one lump sum, and I'm not going to renounce that because I still have hope that they'll get some new leadership and get their shit together, and I still want to be able to have that card. But if you're out there and you want to get into a gun rights organization, it's Gun Owners of America, Firearms Policy Coalition, and there's a few other smaller ones, but those are the 2 big ones right now that are chomping at the bit to take over the NRA's #1 boogeyman spot on the regressive left's hit list as far as gun rights go, because the leadership of the NRA is asleep at the wheel. They're paying $5 million to buy Wayne LaPierre a fucking mansion. He's got a 6-figure wardrobe budget. He jet sets all over the country on a private jet, soliciting donations from millionaires and billionaires when it's the
millionaires and billionaires.
Millionaires and billionaires, and when it's the schlubs like me who have our membership dues that are the blood and the meat and the power of the NRA. So, you know, just it's a fucking mess.
Yeah, fuck the NRA. Negotiating rights away, that's what they're all about. They haven't said shit about this proposal by Donald Trump to spy on us all and take our guns. I'm serious. If the NRA can't be if the NRA can't be trusted to stand up to this, what the hell good are they at all? Like, the NRA, it's their whole purpose in life is to drop to their knees in front of police organizations so that they can continue selling guns to them. That's their whole purpose in life. Their purpose in life is not to defend your rights. Their purpose in life is to defend my rights. They don't give a shit about us, regular people who own guns. No, they only care about organizations that buy guns in mass, aka police. That's why they don't have shit to say about Philando Castile being murdered by police. That's why this guy in Arizona that we covered a few weeks ago, whose murderer is being paid for murder, that's why they don't have shit to say about that. All right? And that's why they don't have shit to say about this, because the NRA is useless. Right. You know, they don't deserve any of our money at all.
It's coming to a head, though. There are a lot of high-profile social media influencers that are really showing the NRA leadership to be the old world dinosaurs that they are. The NRA has they have a couple monthly dead tree publication, magazines that come in the mail. They send mailers out. I don't think I ever get emails from the NRA. They are that out of touch with the times. And there are a lot of high-profile social media influencers, guys like Tim Harmsen at the Military Arms Channel, Adam Kraut, who is a high-profile Second Amendment lawyer. You got guys like Collian Noir, who who actually works for the NRA, but he's very dissatisfied with what's going on over there right now. These are very high profile guys in the gun community that are looking at the NRA right now and saying, "Get your shit together, boys." And it's only a matter of time before Wayne LaPierre either gets given the boot or rides off into the sunset in disgrace, because his time he's reached that zenith, and rather than retire gracefully at the peak of his game and have some dignity and honor, he's riding the ship all the way down to Davy Jones's locker.
Which is where he deserves to be, because fuck
Yeah.
that guy. All right, I think we've talked at length about this, and seriously, for all those Donald Trump supporters that are lining up behind him to defend this policy, fuck you. Seriously, This is one of the most egregious violations of your Second Amendment rights that you could possibly think of, and because it's coming from Orange Man himself, you're all behind it. You've bought into this cult of personality, and you're unable to see through the bullshit. So we're moving on from that after, saying essentially, fuck you for saying this is okay. All right, so there's some bad news for Joe Biden in the news today, too. Joe Biden, you'll remember him. He's the guy that likes to sniff little girls' hair a lot. We've made fun of him a lot for doing this. He's the guy that said that poor kids can be just as smart as white kids.
I'm broke as shit, and I'm a genius, I guess.
You're a genius, dude. At least, do you remember the last election cycle when Bernie Sanders says that white people don't know what it's like to be poor?
White people don't know what it's like to be poor. They don't know what it's like to live in a ghetto.
Have you ever been to a trailer park that had white people in it? I didn't think so. Like, dude, you've never been to Council Bluffs, have you? No? Yeah, it shows. It's nothing but poor white people in Council Bluffs. But anyway, Joe Biden. I'm going to read you a little bit from a Rolling Stones article that I read today. Quote, in a new national poll released Monday, MonMouth University found the former vice president trailing in the Democratic primary for the first time. The poll has Biden clocking in with 19% support, down a whopping 13 points from the 32% he registered when the poll was last conducted in June. Ahead of Biden are, you want to guess? There's two people.
Warren and Sanders.
Warren and Sanders. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who comes in at 20%, up 6 points from June, and Elizabeth Warren, Mrs. herself, from Democrat from Massachusetts, who also comes in at 20% after garnering 15%, after having only 15% in June. Now here's the tallies of candidates right now, according to this Monmouth University poll. Sanders and Warren at 20%, Biden at 19%, and way down is Harris at 8%, Booker at 4%, Buttigieg, whatever, at 4%, Buttigieg, Yang at 3%. Yang's actually not doing too terrible. He's at 3%. Castro at 2%, O'Rourke at 2%, and Williamson at 2%. So Beto O'Rourke way down.
That's actually an improvement. I heard he was polling down there at like 0. So
I'm just upset that Gabbard's not on here at all. So
she's not even mentioned, is she?
Not even mentioned. Sanders and Warren at 20%. And Biden at 19%. Now, before you get too excited, the poll.
How much you want to bet that Tulsi Gabbard wasn't even an option on that poll?
I mean, duh. Of course, they don't want her to be an option on there. I mean, she murdered Kamala Harris. Why would you put her as an option on the poll? She murdered a black woman. So, what a racist, right?
Right.
All right. So the poll. I'm quoting from the article again. The poll, which has a margin of error of 5.7%, could be an aberration. Real Clear Politics currently has Biden at an average of 27.2% compared to 16.7% for the second place Sanders. But the results have to be concerning for the Biden campaign, especially considering the respective surges of Sanders and Warren. So Biden has been leading this race from the very beginning, and now at least in this one poll, he has a real race on his hands.
Supposedly, I maintain that Biden's early jump to the I think Biden is the only one who doesn't pay his interns. I thought all interns were not paid. Isn't that what an intern is? Is an
Well,
unpaid?
I think Sanders pays his interns, but he doesn't pay them what he thinks they deserve to be paid. So make of that what you will.
Yeah. No, but I think that Biden's early jump was mostly AstroTurf. I think that a lot of establishment Democrats wanted him to kind of be the front runner. Much like Hillary's shenanigans with the super delegates and all that. You've got your big Democrat base that wants what they want, and then you've got the upper echelons of the pyramid that want what they want, and these are the ones that get what they want because they're the moneyed interest. Everybody down here, the broke socialists that are too dumb to realize that socialism just makes everybody poor, but you got the moneyed interests up here that funnel the money into the party, and they're the ones that actually call the shots. So I think that they kind of astroturfed Biden into that number one position, but now the money's running out. The field is too big. You got some true believers like in the big tech sector who think that an Elizabeth Warren or a Bernie Sanders is ideologically the way forward and are, spreading that money around a little bit. And Biden has had some huge gaffes. His like you said at the beginning, his poor kids are just as smart as white kids, and he said,
"What are you saying there, Biden? What are you getting at?"
All white people are rich, and everybody who's poor is not white or something. I don't know. And you've got his, what was the other one that he said recently? It's like we prefer truths over facts or some just dumb shit. I mean, the guy is stroking out.
It sounds like something AOC would say, quite frankly. Didn't she say something very similar to that?
Probably.
Like, people are very concerned about being factually correct as opposed to being morally correct or something like that.
People are too concerned about being factually correct when we need to worry about being morally correct. Go fly a kite, lady.
You think she could?
Probably not. She'd probably get tangled up. Instructions unclear. Dick caught in ceiling fan. But yeah, so he's had too many gaffes. He's and I don't want to make light of it, but he sounds like he's had another stroke. He slurs his speech. He acts like he doesn't even know. He said he was in Vermont, and I think he mistook that he was in New Hampshire or the other way around at a rally last week. He's like, I'm so glad to be in Vermont. And they're like, sir, you're in New Hampshire. Oh, I'm glad to be in New Hampshire. He doesn't know where he's at.
Who knows the difference between those two states anyway?
Yeah, New England states are the size of a postage stamp. But anyways, you would think you would know where you're at if you're, especially like New Hampshire's an important primary state.
Yeah, why would you be in Vermont at all?
Yeah, that's Bernie Sanders territory.
Yeah.
So, that doesn't surprise me on that half, that people are starting to kind of see through the AstroTurf that, okay, yeah, Biden might not be our guy this time around, no matter what the movers and shakers in the party might have to say. And then you also have to take into account that the Democratic Party takes more left turns than a NASCAR race. So it really makes no surprise that they're moving.
They're taking another left turn.
Yeah, exactly. So it's no surprise that they're moving towards Warren and Sanders. And in Warren and Sanders, you've got two different approaches to the same outcome. Sanders is a true believer in socialism and communism. He took his honeymoon in the Soviet Union. He thinks bread lines are awesome for some reason. He thinks you should only have one choice when it comes to deodorant.
But he's not a real socialist.
But he's a democratic socialist. There's a difference.
He's not a real socialist. He's a different kind of socialist.
Yeah, he's a different guy. Whereas, and then Elizabeth Warren is the type right, she's the type of socialist who is also a true believer, but she comes at it from not from this system can work because it's inherently good. She comes at it from the approach of this system can work as long as people like me are in charge. She's an arrogant, elitist academic that thinks that she and people like her are the people that'll be able to centrally plan everything out and make this terrible system that's killed hundreds of millions of people work for the first time in history. It's up to Elizabeth Warren.
She's the only one that can do it.
She's the one that can do it, by God. And it's two different approaches to the same thing.
That's the thing about it. The Joe Biden thing, he reminds me a lot of Mitt Romney. You remember him back in 2012? Yeah, who? Mitt who? The binders full of women's guy? That guy? Yeah, he reminds me. He's the Mitt Romney of this election. Because you'll remember, Mitt Romney. He was the electable guy. He was the guy that you're gonna throw out there. He's the guy that's the most electable. He's got the biggest name recognition. Blah blah blah. And you have all these ideologues underneath him. Mm-hmm. How many did we have? We had freaking Herman Cain, Newt Gingrich, of course, Ron Paul, my boy Ron Paul, had him, Rick Santorum. God, there were so many of them that year.
Yeah.
I mean, there were.
They all had their strong points in like one small area where they were like really strong, but then it's like making an RPG character where you put strength at 10 and everything else at 1. That's how they all were. They all had one strong area, and then the rest was hot garbage. And then you had Ron Paul.
And then you had Ron Paul, who's just God's gift to mankind. But of course, we rejected him.
Yeah, he was the balanced character that would have taken us the furthest.
Mm-hmm. But so anyway, back to what I was saying. So each one of those candidates got their time in the limelight. It was a roller coaster with all these other candidates figuring out who was going to be the anti-Romney guy. But through it all, Romney was steady, well above all these other dudes, and he eventually got the nomination, not because he was particularly liked. Nobody liked him. But because he was the guy the establishment picked as the guy and the most electable, and he got it, and he got the snot kicked out of him by Barack Obama. That kind of reminds me of what's going on right now. Because right now, it's a little bit different right now because I don't think we're going to be seeing a roller coaster of the anti-Biden candidates. No. I think Bernie Sanders has his supporters, and he's not going to lose them. He's going to be steady. He's going to be steady. He might pick up some, but he's not going to lose support. The Bernie Bros are Bernie Bros through and through. These other guys, Warren, Harris, Booker, all these other guys might see a roller coaster, but I think we're going to see is Bernie Sanders is going to be the most steady candidate in this election cycle. And Joe Biden, if he can maintain that air of elder statesman and electability, he might be okay. But my goodness, if he starts losing poll numbers, if he starts losing support, if the establishment starts thinking he's not electable, his support is going to evaporate in an instant. He's not going to be around very long if he starts losing that air of electability. And I think, just like Mitt Romney, if it's Joe Biden that they throw out there, Trump's going to fucking murder him.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I think Trump has a good chance against most of these people, quite frankly, especially as the ideologue progressives keep going further and further left.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders just put out a Green New Deal that we discussed yesterday with the guests. Go check out that episode. Just went up today. It's called The Lean New Deal. Go check it out. It's very good. But he just put out a Green New Deal of his own not too long ago that proposes to spend $20 trillion. $20 trillion. And the way he's going to pay for it is hilarious because he's going to create 20 million new jobs, tax them, and that's going to pay for it. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's literally plugging an outlet into itself.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. He's going to tax the fossil fuel industry to pay for it. But the plan also calls for eliminating the fossil fuel industry. So that doesn't make any sense at all. So the further the left these ideological candidates get, the more pushback they're going to get in a general election. This is going to be the problem that Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, all these people are going to have if they manage to win the nomination, get to the general election, because as detestable as Donald Trump might be, these people are fucking in a world of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely insane, and it's gonna be fun to see what happens, because as bad of choices we've had in the past, this is probably going to be the worst set of choices there is. Because think about it, Donald Trump, if he wins the next election, isn't going to have another election to look forward to. So all the worst instincts that Donald Trump has could come out full force if he wins another election. Now, he's not naturally a pro-Second Amendment guy. His instincts lie in the anti-Second Amendment field.
He's a New York Democrat, basically.
Yeah, he's a New York Democrat. He's a corporate Democrat. All right? He would have fit right at home in the Democratic Party of 20 years ago.
Fuck, even 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, no kidding. But see, the thing about it is, if he wins the next election, all his worst instincts are going to be unrestrained.
Right, he's gonna see his re-election as a mandate to push through whatever stupid thing pops into the front of his brain.
See, it's a funny thing about U.S. politics, because oftentimes the best combination you can get is a Republican Congress and a Democratic president.
Because nothing gets done, and that's the point.
Yeah,
that's not a bug, that's a feature.
That's often been the best combination. But that can only be the case if you don't give the president enormous powers to wield over us. The president has to be checked by Congress. And let's say Kamala Harris is the eventual winner, and say she does use that executive order to ban assault weapons, quote unquote. Say she does that. Would Congress have the legitimate ability to stop it at this point, with as weakened and cucked as they've been?
No. I mean, they would if there's an executive order infringing on the Second Amendment that heavily. Congress's only approach would be impeachment. And with the Bill Clinton impeachment circus and the last 3 years that we've had with Donald Trump impeachment circus, the possibility of a Republican Congress. I mean, let's even say that the Republicans retake the House in 2020, but they lose the presidency in 2020. The Republicans have always been spineless as far as that goes, because they have to put on the airs of adhering to the Constitution. So if somebody like Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren or whatever decided they wanted to file an executive order banning the assault weapons, just, executive decree, the House of Representatives, even if they had the support of the Senate, they could and should file for orders of impeachment, but they wouldn't, because they're spineless. Because an impeachment from a Republican Congress to a Democrat, especially if it was a strong whammon of power like Kamala Harris, would just it would get skull dragged through the media as, oh, you're only doing this because she's a woman and because she's black or because she's 1/10/24 Native American, or in Bernie Sanders' case, because he's Jewish, which we haven't heard one fucking word of, but I can guarantee that if he gets the nomination, that'll get pushed to the front. They will play any identity politics card that they can to make sure that their guy gets through or gal gets through whatever they want.
Remember, everybody, lose your guns in a tragic boating accident. That's all the advice I can give to you. You got to lose it in a boating accident, and you got to be ready to take on the Fed boys if they come to house. So I wanted to talk about the FAA telling people to stop putting flamethrowers on their drones, but I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we're at it over an hour now.
Yeah, we're over an hour. So just long story short, the FAA is telling you to stop putting flamethrowers on their guns, probably because they're afraid of being flamed when they come to confiscate your guns. The ATF agents don't want to be taken out by flamethrower drones, which...
Don't tell me what to do, government!
Yeah, no shit. You know what? Just because you do that, you see up there? You see that? That's a drone. I'm putting a flamethrower on it tomorrow. Fuck you, FAA.
Even if
it's
just an aerosol can of bug spray and a Zippo lighter, I'm gonna do it.
You know, that drone's way too small to actually put a flamethrower on it. So, probably not. So, I think we're going to wrap it up there. So, Suffice it to say, disregard anything the FAA says. Put a flamethrower on your gun if you want to. Get all those... Yeah,
when the government tells you that you don't need a drone-mounted flamethrower, that's exactly the time that you need a drone-mounted flamethrower.
And with those words, we're going to wrap it up. All right, thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been another exciting episode of the Token and Hobbs Show. Remember to like our Facebook page, like our Instagram page. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Minds, and we're on almost everywhere that you can find podcasts. We just got back onto iTunes after a little bit of a hiatus there. So if you like to listen to Apple Podcasts, we're there. And remember, the website is roads2liberty.com. Our good founder, Ben, is actually going to start posting articles on there. So that's going to be fun. So remember, roads2liberty.com. I got to get Ben to update our bios because he still has the joke bios up on there. I got to get him to change that. Anyway, remember, roads2liberty.com. And remember, everybody, stay sane because the world is not going to do it for you. Have a good night.
Drone-mounted flamethrowers.